Hello. Like a lot of people, I've recently been playing a lot of Silksong. Today I'll be designing some ambient sounds based on settings from the game. To start with, here's a scene in Bonebottom. So we've got quite a peaceful village within a cave. I'll start with a recording I previously captured of a windy cliff top. I then slowed that down, which you can do by holding Alt and dragging the end of it like this. Whenever I do this sort of thing, I often like to set it to not preserve pitch when changing rate. So I double click the file and then click here. So the result of this, by slowing it down by about half, is about an octave lower. From there, I applied various processing in SnapHeap. To start with, we're filtering it by removing a lot of the super low sounds and a lot of the high frequencies. I've got this gain module connected to a random modulator, so it's doing a lot of subtle, slow volume modulation. And then we're widening the stereo here, applying some reverb to make it sound more distant. And we've got some randomly modulated filters here. This limiter is just to add some gain. And from there, what I do is I've got this global sampler running. So I'll just select a region like that and then drag it in here. And then this next track is the same thing. I've just slowed down the audio a bit more. I also wanted to add in some subtle rock movements to enhance the idea that you're in the cave. For these, I started with a recording of some gravel pouring. Then I've loaded that recording into the granular mode of FacePlant. This means if I enable record arm and I bring up the on-screen keyboard, I can press a key on the keyboard and it will make random variations of this gravel sound. Also worth noting, I've set harmonic to 0, which means it won't scale with whatever MIDI note I press. And shift is very low, so we're shifting it down a lot. From there, I've applied a bit of frequency shifting. So applying frequency shifting rather than pitch shifting means you can help it sound less tonal. I've also got a bandpass filter here to give it more of a high frequency focus, and distortion to add a little bit of grit. Next, we've got some reverb to make it sound more distant. This ring mod here is set to the bandpass noise mode. That's quite useful for making things sound a bit kind of crackly. We've also got quite a long delay here as well. Then we've got some more reverb, again to make it sound quite distant. It's good to have one after the ring mod, because otherwise it can just sound too stuttery and unnatural. I'm also doing some downward pitch shifting, but this is blended in subtly. Then I just hold the note on my keyboard. And then once I've got some material here in the global sampler, I can just click this and then drag it into any track I like. I did a couple of layers of this, and then we're done with Bonebottom. Next is Deep Docks, so it's quite a lava, sort of volcano-y type vibe. I wanted to add kind of very deep, bubbly, sort of liquidy flowing sound. So I started with these bubble recordings I took a while ago. These are processed versions of blowing with a straw into a mixture of flour and water, so you get sort of gloopy bubbles. Obviously that's pretty far from how we'll want the lava to sound, but it's a good start. Then, like with the gravel, we've loaded that into granular in FacePlant. I've got 3 instances of that here. Again, all shifted very low. Here's how that sounds. From there, we're doing some downward frequency shifting and pitch shifting. Some distortion to add a bit of grit and bring out some mid frequencies a bit, as well as some delay. Then we're doing some EQ adjustments. Here I've got multipass on the NOTT preset. This is essentially a sort of aggressive multiband compressor, similar to the OTT plugin. This helps it sound a bit less intermittent. we've got a transient shaper is just softening the attack a bit, more EQ to control the low end, and a bit of reverb. And as before, I've used Global Sampler to take a recording, and then dragged it into this track here. These next two tracks use the same method, I've just slowed them down a bit. I've also adjusted the EQ on these tracks. So on one of them, I've got this aggressive mid and high boost, and on this other one, I'm only keeping the very low frequencies. Here's how those sound. Next, I wanted to make it sound a bit more fiery. I found this recording to use as a basis. I've also taken this and stretched it a lot. Here I have got it set to preserve pitch when changing rate, but I've set the take pitch shift / time stretch mode to be this one, rear. This one is quite good if you want to drag things out and make them sound quite slurred and sort of reverberant almost. I have also manually pitched it down a bit as well by typing it in here. Then I've added more processing and snap peep again. So I've got filtering to control the lows, frequency shifting, ring mod to make it a bit more crackly, downward pitch shifting partially mixed in. And this filter here was just to get out a kind of annoying ringing frequency, and reverb again for the distance. I felt it was also missing a bit of a windy sound. Again, I used a recording of wind. Once again, I've slowed it down a bit. I'm mostly wanting this to cover mid and high frequencies, so I've cut out some low end, added a bit of reverb, boosted the highs a bit. Again, we're doing the crackly kind of thing with the ring mod, and I'm using this stereo module here to randomly modulate the pan a bit, and this random is modulating the volume gradually. And here's the finished sound for that. Thanks for watching.